Okay, we will convene this meeting at 6:33 p.m. Thank you all for coming. We will move on to our item on the agenda of roll call. Senator Christian Arnaldo. Present. Senator Reed Blake.
Present.
Senator Akeem Brown.
Present.
Senator Fabian Escobedo. He is late. Senator Ali Miles.
Present.
Senator Jackie Jacoby.
Present.
Senator Colette King.
Present.
Senator Delaney Koenig.
Present.
Senator Richard Lee.
Present.
Senator Carlton Nguyen.
Present.
Senator Priscilla Perez.
Present.
Senator Jason Ramirez.
Present.
Senator Herman Sanger.
Present.
Senator Summer Shaker.
Present.
Senator Sam Mouet.
Present.
President Pro Tempore Devin Plaza.
Present.
Personnel Director Ashley Harana.
Present.
Marketing and Promotions Director Avina Thad.
Present.
Elections Director Stephanie Rose.
Present.
Outreach Director Jessica Arquides.
Present.
Senate Secretary Ardelia Chakri.
Present.
Parliamentarian Momo Hussein.
Present.
Vice President of Campus Internal Affairs Fernando Chivarria. Also stuck in traffic, I believe. Vice President of External Affairs Abraham Galvan.
Here.
Vice President of Finance Ira Shang.
Present.
President Nafi Karim.
Nafi was planning on making it tonight, but unfortunately he had a family emergency, so he's not going to be able to make it.
And myself. Okay. Proceeding on, we will now move on to approval of the agenda. I will now open up the floor for motions to approve or amend the agenda. Senator Akeem Brown.
I'll move to approve the agenda as is.
Okay, are there any other motions on the floor at this time?
I move to amend the agenda. I would like to add my report under the Office of the President, or what now would be the first item.
Yes, okay, motion to add Outreach Jessica Arquides to committee officer reports in subsection 1 under section G. Okay, we'll take this motion's order of precedence. So, is there a second on that amendment? Seconded by Senator Christian Arnaldo.
Can I move to add myself section D reports?
Yes, okay, we'll continue with that motion. Okay, so all those in favor of motion to add Jessica Arquides to reports? Alright, all those opposed? And abstained. Okay, by 15-0, that passes. We have also on the floor a motion from Ruby with us to add. Can you explain that one more time to the minutes?
Marketing committee to the report.
Okay. Motion to add Ruby with us to marketing committee reports. Do I have a second? Seconded by President Pro Tempore Devin Plaza. All those in favor? All those opposed? And abstained. Vote of 15-0. This passes. Are there other motions on the floor at this time? Okay, seeing none, we can proceed now with Senator Akeem Brown's motion to approve the agenda. Do we have a second? Seconded by Senator Richard Lee. All those in favor? All those opposed? And abstained. Okay, by 15-0, this motion passes. Continuing on to section D of our agenda, I have with me the approval of the Senate minutes. Passing this around from my left to my right. Review these and simply sign your name on the back and look for errors. Good. Okay. Continuing on, we will now hear from our ex officios in section E. So at this time, I'd like to extend to the galley any ex officios that may be in attendance to come forward and present to the Senate. Simply state your name from behind the lectern, and the floor is yours.
Hello everyone, my name is Sohan Halagi, ex-official of CSP. Tomorrow, Thursday, we will be having a Bogotá Tea House fundraiser. It'll be to raise funds for Chicano Latino Youth Conference, and it'll be from 7 to 9 p.m. tomorrow, Thursday. And then Friday, we will be having a potluck at Chicano Student Program, and we will be having tamales and champurrado, and I would like to invite everyone from 12 to 2 p.m. And if you all could bring any dish, it would be appreciated. So that would be it.
Oh, thank you.
Any questions?
What time for the potluck?
12 to 2 p.m.
Some of our senators.
On Friday.
Were there any other questions for the Senate at this time? Okay, seeing none, thank you so much. Were there any other ex officios that would like to come forward at this time?
I guess I'm supposed to stand up here. It's been forever since I've been to one of these. Hi, I'm Rhiannon Little with African Student Programs. Thank you, Akeem, for inviting me. After this meeting, I'm not sure when it's over, but we do have a Mike Brown open forum, 7:30 p.m. and IMTN 1020. I hope you all can make it. It's an opportunity for students to just voice their concerns and thoughts about the Ferguson case, Mike Brown, and other, injustices and police brutality that have been going on in regards to Black males, and you all can make it. This is an open invitation to everybody.
Okay,
Thank you.
Excuse me. Oh, thank you so much.
IMTN 1020.
Yeah, 7:30 till about 9.
Okay, were there any other ex officios that would like to present at this time? Okay, seeing that, we can continue with our agenda on section F for public forum. This is extended to the rest of the galley. Any student that would like to come forward and present your business to the Senate, thanks for consideration, please come forward, and the floor is yours. Please state your name from behind the lectern for our minutes.
Hello. Whoa, okay, that's not good. Hello, hi, I'm Tina Mohammed. I'm the grassroots coordinator for the CalPERG Solar Campaign, and I'm also on the board of directors. And over the weekend, I just wanted to give you guys a heads up that we came together and we set up new goals for our solar and our water campaigns. And we are planning on forming resolutions, so if anyone is interested in helping to come up with those, we will be setting up individual meetings over the next week with you all. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Were there any other students that would like to come forward? Okay, seeing none, we can then continue with the agenda on section G, committee and office reports. Section 1, Office of the President. Chief Staff Oscar Rivera is the report.
He was able to reach an agreement, a confirmed agreement that the Chancellor will be alongside the students when we lobby the state legislatures and governor, and will advocate for our university by our side. Also, we are starting the review process for the justices.
Did you still have any questions?
I actually have to go.
Okay.
I actually have to go.
Okay.
Are we gonna be, are we asking questions to the president then, or are we, where would we refer the questions to?
Well, this is just an update. That's all I got. That's all the information I have. So it's like, I don't really have answers.
But you speak on behalf of him, don't you? Well, do you relay that information back to him?
Why I'm really
Oh,
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I don't know how the procurement of lobbying with the chancellor was done, but I know that that's something that my office actually does. And I would be really cautious with regard to that. Not to say that it couldn't be beneficial to lobby with the chancellor, but I know that in the past when I've done joint lobbying with the regents and UC administration, they have actually not even really been helpful in anything that we've done. In some of our lobbying, they've actually actively kind of undermined the work that we were doing as students. For example, when I did joint lobbying with the regents 2 years ago, we had the oil severance tax bill on there, which would have provided funding for higher education, and something that the regents actively did was say oh, this isn't our bill or whatever, we're not really talking about that and whatnot, and that was really kind of undermining. So if we're going to be lobbying with the chancellor, I think we need to have a clear idea of what the chancellor is advocating for, because I think we're probably going to have very different requests of the state in regards to getting more funding, but making sure that we can hold the UC accountable at the same time. And I don't know how ready the chancellor is to do that, at least from what he's done so far. So,
Outreach Director Jessica.
when exactly did they meet? What day and time? If you can just relay that information and then you'll get it back to the PO.
Any other questions at this point? Okay, thank you for coming on this morning. Okay, continuing on, we will hear from our Outreach Director Jessica Kitas on the report. deciding which species is rejected. You can.
Okay, for my report, I just wanted to recap on, the outreach hearing. I apologize for the last 2 weeks, well, actually 1 meeting. Last week I was, is last week the association meeting or was that the holiday?
I think it's before.
Okay, so last week, I hope y'all had a great Thanksgiving, welcome back. And the week before that, I wanted to apologize for my absence. I did attend the East Region's meeting with, alongside with other students of the UCs, along with other students on the horseshoe as well. For my report, I'm gonna focus mainly on the outreach hearing and, what was passed. So for the outreach hearing was about 2 weeks ago on November 21st. We had a great turnout. It was a lot of different student organizations that attended the hearing. And I'm just hoping to host different outreach hearings in the upcoming winter and spring quarter. But unfortunately, I do want to apologize to my committee. I sent out an email, but I understand that the fact that we started school later, we had to kind of push everything later, but I still wanted to make sure to give the funds that were needed to the events that took place in the fall. So I kind of had to work alongside with pro staff, so me and Maggie worked on this a lot, as well as Teresa, Lori, and everyone else, Amy. I had a lot of help from everyone. So thank you to all those who helped with the outreach hearing. And for the actual report, we have two representatives from the finance, which were Fabian and Shafi, a senator that's on the finance committee, and the actual vice chair of the finance committee. And for outreach, I stepped in as one of the voting members of outreach, and Rain as a senator on the outreach committee. And from Fernando's office, Fernando was able to make the meeting. So if you can pull up that second. So for the outreach hearing, the approved 2014-2015 funding that we had from the state was $39,525. That's up at the top. I believe it's the first highlighted number. Okay, well, I'll start from the beginning. So if you look at portion A, it was the 2013 and 2014 rollover from funding of last year, and it comes out to $18,828.02. And the allocated funding from the state came out to $39,525, which brings us to a total of $58,353.02. So the first outreach hearing, as I mentioned before, was November 21st, and it took place from 5 to 9 p.m. And we had 9 different groups come out. We had, I'll go through them individually, and I'll go ahead and announce the amount requested, the amount we allocated, and the vote. So for the first organization that came was Poder, providing opportunities, dreams, and education in Riverside. So it was their event, their outreach event is the Dreaming of Higher Education. They requested $4,350, and we allocated $2,710. In order to meet, I'm sorry, I should have explained this earlier, but for the actual vote, in order for it to pass, we needed 4 actual votes, and with myself included, it would be 5. I chose to abstain from any organizations that were involved with Chicano student programs based on a conflict of interest. And if I did not vote, it would still be able to pass with the 4, but just as a symbolic showing, I wanted to make sure to abstain from organizations that I were a part of. So for the first one, we gave allocation of $2,710, and the vote was 401. For the next one, we have MECHA, Movimiento Estudiantil Chicano de Aztlán de UCR. It was the empowerment conference, and they requested $5,000. We allocated $2,669 with the vote of 401. For the next one, we have the Muslim Student Association with their event UCR College Day. The request was $5,000, and we allocated $3,750 with 400. The following one was African Student Alliance, also known as Black Student Union, and their event was the Outreach Day for $4,795, and the allocation was for $3,105. The vote was 400. The next one was Raza Assembly with their 26th annual Chicano Latino Youth Conference. The request was $5,000, and the allocated amount was also $5,000, and the vote was 401. The next, we had the Society of Women Engineers, and that their event was a Boarders College of Engineering Day. They requested $4,000, and we allocated $1,400 with a 400 vote. And the next one was the Hmong Student Association with their event High School Outreach Day, or High School Outreach. They requested $2,800, and they were given the full $2,800 with a vote of 400. And next we have the Vietnamese Student Association with their event of Future Leader Summit, with the theme of Once Upon a Future, and they requested $2,600, and we allocated $2,300. The vote was 400. And last, we had Katipunan with the Katipunan Experience of 2015 with the theme of Picture This, and they requested $4,005, and we allocated $3,055 with a vote of 400. Is there any questions?
I was just wondering why Katipunan was on there twice. Maybe it was just on there.
Oh, I apologize. If it was on there, it was by just a typo, but for future references, I'll make sure to look over it before I. Alright.
Do you have any questions from the Senate at this time?
I'll make sure to give the correct and fixed one, so that way it's sent out to all the Senate.
That'd be great. At this time, I open up the floor for motions to approve the outreach allocations. Senator Jackie.
Motion to approve the outreach allocations.
Seconded by Senator Reed Blake. All those in favor? All those opposed? All those abstaining. By a vote of 15-0-0, I'm sorry, Jen. This motion passes. Thank you so much. Proceeding on, we will now hear from our Finance Committee, Vice President of Finance, Irish Sheng. With you.
Okay, hi everyone. So first I'll be reporting last week's finance meeting allocations. Okay, so first we have Karate Club. They are an auto renewal and they have reached their maximum allocation of $3,500. So we just passed their budget update. Next, we have Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers. Their budget was being tabled because their numbers did not add up. So we emailed for them to clarify that for us. And next, we have the African Student Alliance, and we have allocated $235. HALU at UCR, we allocated $750. Christian on campus allocated $825. Best Buddies allocated $998. FBLA allocated $1,208. The Sisters in Strength, we have allocated $908. And International Food Club, we allocated $825. And that was it for last week.
Do I have a motion? Do I have a motion to approve the finance allocations? President Pro Tem Barden Plaza.
I look to approve finance allocations.
Alright, do we have a second? Seconded by Senator Christian Aranama. All those in favor? All those opposed? And abstain. Okay, by 15-0-0, this budget allocation pass. I was ready to discuss here.
I just had a question about the Hispanic Society of, I'm sorry, I'm not sure what it was. About the engineers? Society of Hispanic Engineers. For that one, when you have a problem for any other organization, if you email them back, how exactly, what is the process for?
It depends. Okay, so if, for this one, like the numbers in their budget form, it didn't add up, like it didn't balance out. So I would email them like, can you come in and I just have some questions for you to clarify. So it depends on like what their issue is.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so for this week is this week we have started with the Coptic Club, and their budget was tabled. Their line items on their budget sheet was too broad in general, and our committee members had more questions, so I emailed them for them to come in and for them to answer some questions, more specific questions about their line items. Next, we have the Nigerian Student Association and allocated $133. We have the Student Alumni Association and allocated $1,098. Next, we have a grant requested by the organization Asterisk, and this grant is it's called the Asterisk Trans Conference, and it's workshops to highlight the different aspects of the trans community, but it was tabled because part of their line items needed to be adjusted. And next was the Latino Union, and it was tabled. We did not meet quorum. One of the members was part of the organization, so she had to abstain herself. And lastly, we have Collective Faction, and it was passed with an allocation of 908. That is all.
I now open the floor for motions at this time. Senator Key Brown.
I move to approve the finance committee allocations for this week.
Okay. Motion to approve by Senator Key Brown. We have a second. Seconded by Senator Priscilla Perez. All those in favor? All those opposed? And abstain. Okay, by 15-0-0, this passes. Was that the
Yes.
Okay. Considering that our Vice President of Campus Internal Affairs is not present, we will move past the GCAP committee report and proceed on to Legislative Review Committee. I'll now give the floor to our President Pro Tempore, Dan Colosso.
Hi everyone. So we'll start off with the finance bylaws. If you could hold this up, please. LRC reviewed these a couple weeks ago. We didn't meet last week because of the Thanksgiving holiday, but mostly just structural changes. Are there any questions regarding the actual bylaws or any of the changes that were made?
So when I opened up the form, it said I added a date on it, but I didn't have it. Is it just because I opened it?
Yeah. If there are no questions, a motion to approve would be nice.
I move to approve the finance committee bylaws as amended.
Okay.
Do I have a second?
Motion by Senator Key Brown to approve the amended finance committee finance bylaws. Do I have a second? All right. Seconded by Senator Ali Isles. All those in favor? All those opposed? And abstain. All right. By a vote of 15-0-0, this passes.
Okay, moving on to my next item, we have a resolution written by Vice President of External Affairs, Abraham Bellon. If you want to introduce your resolution and kind of speak on behalf of it.
Cool. So the resolution is a resolution expressing no confidence in the regents and president of the University of California. And this resolution has a background, was authored by a couple of us across the state, mainly UC Berkeley, UCLA, and so the UCLA EVP Conrad Contreras, UC Berkeley Legislative Affairs Liaison, and UCSA Board Chair Kevin Salvo did the most of the writing, and I also edited it for UC Riverside. The hope is that UCLA already passed this resolution yesterday, actually, and UC Berkeley's ASUC will be considering it, I believe, next week. I'll give some context about the actual resolution now. I'm sure you've all read through it already, but basically the reasoning behind this resolution is that, to be honest, like, we're just fed up The regents and the president of the University of California have continuously failed to acknowledge student concerns. And not even acknowledge, but they have like actively gone against student concerns in multiple scenarios. Students are by no means consulted in any meaningful way. We have no real shared governance of our university. We have one student regent that we don't even really fully select. And we know that that vote is like 1 out of like 20 something people on the board. So we have really kind of no decision making power in the university. Aside from that, there's not even really any meaningful consultation processes. We weren't informed about the tuition plan until just 24 hours before the plan was revealed, which is really ridiculous. And so because of all of this, and also as well as really just other issues concerning the regents, for example, the regents' like involvement in the kind of experience that they have as regents. Most of the regents have pretty much no educational experience except for maybe Oakley that was just appointed. And so there's that, that's that. Even the president of, even Napolitano herself doesn't really have any educational experience. And so we really question their ability to govern our university, not only by their own merit, but by the fact that aside from not having any experience, they take little to no input from people that actually have experience, which are students that are going through the university and are the ones that are being affected by the policies that they enact. So we wanted to make sure that they understand that we don't have confidence in their ability to govern our university, especially if they're not going to be consulting students in a meaningful way. So as you can see, like part of the context is the tuition and fees increases that were adopted. And part of it is also this bill called Assembly Bill 970. It was passed in 2012. And basically it amended the California Education Code to require the University of California to really consult with students. I think it's at least 40 days prior to the adoption of any mandatory system tuition and fees. And you can read in the resolution as well a couple of the things like they had to provide a justification for the fee increase proposal, setting forth the facts supporting the fee, a statement specifying the purposes for which revenue derived from a fee increase will be used, a description of the efforts to mitigate the impact of the fee increase on needy students, the potential impact to students, including but not limited to the changes to the minimum workload burden for all students if applicable, institutional financial aid awards, and the average student loan debt for undergraduates, and alternative proposals that can be considered in lieu of the proposed net student fee revenue proposal. And the university has failed to comply with this. They didn't necessarily have to comply with this because it wasn't a requirement for them. The bill was passed and it was expected that the regents would amend their policy to include this because it's like a much more significant way of consulting students and giving us notice of things happening, especially with relation to tuition and fees, but they just kind of ignored it because it's been beneficial for them to ignore it. Because obviously if you give us less time notice, then we can react less and whatnot. So what this bill would do is not only express our discontentment with the regents and the president on both a systemic and kind of individual level, but it would also constitute that we would maintain this lack of confidence until such time that the regents and the president adopt the provisions set forth in AB 970, so that we can actually have a more meaningful consultation process. And obviously, along with that, we would also condemn the tuition increase, the tuition proposal that will probably increase tuition unless the state acts. And we're also condemning their regular kind of attempts at dismissing protests of students and the way that they just always kind of undermine any statements that UCSA puts out and any like requests that we make of them. So that's pretty much that. I would be happy to entertain any questions if anybody has any. Great. So, since it doesn't look like there's many questions, I move to pass this resolution as a standing order.
Okay. Can you explain?
Yeah, a standing order allows this resolution to be permanent. Our resolutions expire at the end of the year, but this resolution would be permanent in the means that, for example, somebody wouldn't have to reintroduce it next year or whatnot. So, as the clause would say, it would allow for this resolution to be permanent until such time that the regents meet the conditions of the resolves, which is basically full implementation of AB 970, the creation of the task force with representation from student, faculty, representative staff, administration, all that, and repeal of the long-term stability plan. So once they meet those, then this no confidence resolution is no longer in effect, but until such time, it will be in effect.
Proposed and vote. Motion by Vice President External Affairs, Aaron Galvan, seconded by Senator Summer Schaefer. All those in favor of the standing resolution? No. Alright. Standing. All those opposed? And abstain. Okay. By a vote of 15-0-0. Awesome. Our restricted district.
Can we explain the difference between a standing order and a standing vote?
Standing vote is where we literally
Yeah,
stand.
that's right. I was like,
I understand, but I just think
there was a
We thought he said stand.
I started halfway on,
Oh.
really embarrassing.
Yeah, that's yes, standing order. It's the difference between a standing order and a standing vote. To vote by actually standing, and then a standing order simply means like a continuing resolution of where it is in effect year after year.
Yeah, I did just want to make sure that when we actually publish the resolution that we fix just one typo that I realized was on it, and it's in the therefore let it be resolved, the first one, it says the Associated Students does not believe the current level of student involvement with the Board of Regents and the constitution processes used by the University of California President Janet Napolitano does not constitute as a meaningful shared governance. So we need to take off one of the does not, and I know that was just an accident. But right now it's a little negative. I just want to make sure that that's stricken because I know that was not the intention, it's just a typo.
Okay, Senator.
I move to strike
The first does not.
the first does not here on the floor and pass it. Can we strike it?
Pass pending the amendments. Okay. While unusual, we can have edits have that pass, but yes, if you consider this just simply a
Yeah, so
typo.
my understanding was that it was just a typo.
Right. Okay. Then, you know, in essence, then a vote is necessary because it changes the substance of the legislation.
I just wanted to make sure before we finish.
But I appreciate the. President Pro Tempore.
Okay, so my next resolution, if you could pull out this resolution recommending you see chiefs of police to order all personnel, et cetera, et cetera. I'll let Hakeem, who is the author of this resolution, go into more detail and kind of speak on behalf of the resolution.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone in Valley. Thank you for coming out tonight. In the spirit of students taking lead on certain injustices in this country, I decided that it was important that we continue to do that, not only addressing fee increases, but addressing ethnic and racial climate at all levels of this society. So this resolution would recommend the University of California Chiefs of Police to order all officers, personnel, et cetera, to 16 hours of continuing education credit in ethnic and gender studies. I believe that education is it's the root of it. I'll just speak flat out. Education solves a bunch of mysteries. When you don't know something about something, you fear it. And so part of this would be just to educate these officers that are out here dealing with our community. The more and more minority this community becomes, all our community becomes, the more and more knowledge needs to be learned about how these different minority communities operate. It will kill all stereotypes, prejudice. It will do a lot of things, and so I'm hoping that you all would support a bill like this, us taking the lead on this. Not only would this make a strong recommendation for the chiefs of police to take some continuing education credit, but we want to make these courses free, so there won't be any opposition. So, we shouldn't have to pay for it. We don't want to hear that excuse. No, it's going to be free, and we hope that we can coordinate with the chairs of all the University of California Ethnic Studies Department, so they can come up with some 16-hour crash course that can be taken over 2 consecutive days or 2 consecutive weekends. However, we want to make it available, and we don't want any excuses as to why they wouldn't. And I think this is a good gesture into mending some of the cultural breakdowns in our communities. And I think this is another good gesture into how this landscape of this country should be, a united country, where everybody's problem is everybody's problem, where we all understand each other, and we can truly have an impact on these children that will inherit this future. So I encourage you all to vote yes on this resolution. Thank you.
Before I open up the floor for motions, our Executive Director and Financial Operations Manager, Lori Teresa, requested to speak a little bit on explanation. Was I correct in that? Or? Oh, okay. My mistake.
I have a question.
Yes, sir. I was trying to disagree with this. No, I was responding to questions. Sorry.
Answer your question.
Vice President.
Yeah, can I ask?
Yeah.
I was just wondering, I know you requested 2,500 for this. I was
Point of
wondering.
parliament, this is not the bill that's in question.
Oh.
This is a resolution. It's not asking for any dollar amount.
It doesn't matter.
I'm sorry. Can you explain a little bit of the request for funding?
So so I would like to pass this resolution as is. It's a recommendation only. The second bill to follow it is the bill requesting funding. So I guess we can address it at that moment. But right now, this bill is a strong recommendation encouraging chiefs of police to order all their personnel, et cetera, to 16 hours of continuing education in ethnic and gender studies.
Okay, thanks. Any questions on the floor this time? Yes.
Okay, so I am in support of this, but I just had a question. So I understand that we are strongly recommending, if this resolution passes, we'd strongly recommend that personnel gets training in the Ethnic and Studies Department. And I know that you mentioned that you are getting like police chiefs to get people on board for this program. But could you explain like part of the logistics that like if there are people, which will probably be an issue, that don't want to be involved in this program because it is up to their discretion, right? Because we're only recommending, how can we pressure or how can we ensure that the money that is being used if we do vote on the next piece of legislation gets used properly?
Well, so again, we're only making a recommendation, it's not a requirement. And so the best thing for us to facilitate a voluntary environment is to make the necessary arrangements. So if people don't show, they just don't show, and that'll just look bad on them. But whatever we spend, whatever funds we spend will then go back into the allocation budget. It's no excess. We'll set up, maybe have refreshments, maybe we'll have some flyers, put some social media ads out in the newspaper. Hey, if you want a free course, that's what the funds that I'm requesting in the next bill would do. But if they're not spent, they're simply not spent.
I'm sure you just heard the Vice President Finance Section.
Hi, my question is regarding the resolution that's on table now. But I know you mentioned including the chair of ethnic studies. I wanted to know if you had spoken to him.
Yeah.
And then
Vice President Finance Section.
My question kind of goes off of that. Have you talked about this with the chief of police? these also, and like what were their responses?
So,
Oh, yeah.
so I've already addressed the chairs, well, the chair here already. He teaches a class in prison industrial complex, so he already has all this information right there that he can really put something very powerful together. He's also he's a protege of prison abolitionist, community abolitionist Angela Davis. So he has a lot of knowledge and a lot of persuasion power over the other chairs in the UC system. As far as getting them on board, saying, hey, this is what we're doing. But the first stop is here. If we can't get our own administrators here on campus, then how can we expect anyone else to be involved with what we're trying to do in this initiative? The chief of police has an open door policy. I'm on my way there to talk to him. If Senate says yes to this, I would be going there. But again, it's a recommendation. And the fact that we have something that says we strongly encourage you to do this, if he doesn't want to meet with me, then that's just more fire for us to put out on him.
President Porson, go ahead and pause it.
That answered my question.
Okay. At this time, Senator Click.
Is this named after Michael Brown? Or
Well, I think, so here's let me just for clarification, so this first resolution is a resolution making a recommendation. And so in one of the whereas clauses, it says ASUCR shall make necessary arrangements with the University of California Ethnic Studies chairs. The last one also says this courses will be made available for free for those who sign up by February 2015.
wait, is this?
So what the subsequent resolution does is gives us authority to make these courses free.
Oh no, I asked if this was named after you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so that's still the subsequent resolution.
Oh,
There's
sorry,
two,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
So the brown.
That's not.
Is that
this
referencing-
one.
That's not this one. We're looking at the resolution recommending University of California.
So we're not looking at brown law enforcement.
No, we're looking at that next.
Senator.
Sorry, my apologies.
Senator Keith Brown stipulated in this particular bill that one of the stipulations of this is that we would make the arrangements to ensure that this is free. Have you had a discussion with Finance Committee on exactly how that budget would be procured, how those arrangements would be made?
So what I would ask to do is to suspend the rules requiring that. And the reason being, if you could offer a point of parliamentary procedure or a point of information as to when the rules can be suspended, please.
Oh, absolutely. Well, according to Robert's Rules of Order, suspension of bylaws, in which case what you're requesting is that we would suspend the finance bylaws to have the oversight over this funding.
And pursuant to Article 5, Section I, 1, yes, I would be.
That's specific.
Yes, okay, Article 5, Section I, or 1, right, of our Constitution, yeah, it dictates that you as Senate have final authority over all revenues and allocations of ASUCR. That passage is also further clarified by the finance bylaws, that these allocations are generated through the Finance Committee in terms of exactly per dollar amount of where it will be spent where. And this is for the precise reason that the Finance Committee minutes are presented to you as Senate for your ratification, because you do have that constitutional right to approve or rescind these budget allocations. However, these bylaws are put in place that they originate from the finance committee.
So first it was points of parliamentary procedure. So with regards to suspending the bylaws, chapter 21 of our bylaws say, unless otherwise specified in the text of the chapter of the ASUCR bylaws, these bylaws shall under no circumstances be suspended. And when such a provision is stated, that suspension shall follow only that said provision. And then as far as like the King was right according to the Constitution, Article 5, the Senate has the responsibility and the authority to and authority over all Senate revenues and allocations. But that responsibility and authority is the authority to approve or rescind all budget allocations made by the Finance Committee. The Constitution does not say or give Senate full authority. Chapter 5 of our bylaws must also be followed, and Section 6 of that chapter says that all allocations must go through Finance Committee hearings and that no funds can be pre-committed without the approval of the VP of Finance, the chair of the Finance Committee. So there's no way that this can pass without first going through Finance. Or this one is just a resolution because it's not asking for any amount of money, but it does stipulate that these classes will be free. So that stipulation needs to be accounted for. If you guys were to pass this, it would mean you guys are taking the responsibility of making these classes free.
Well, we can take this in order, speakers. I'll have Vice President Galvin speak first, Senator King Brown, Irish Director Jessica Orquidez. Is there anybody else who would like to speak this time? And President Pro Tem President Plaza.
Okay, I have a point and a question. So, from my understanding, this resolution can pass because it doesn't specify a certain dollar amount. It would just be up to Finance Committee to determine how much it is. But I also recognize that it does say that it'll be free. So, do you have any idea of how much money it would actually cost? Because that is something that I think the Senate should consider.
Right, so a simple, what I envision these courses to look like, they would come on a Saturday morning or Sunday morning. We'd give them coffee, maybe little cute sandwiches, a t-shirt for attending. Yay, I attended this course offered by these awesome students at UCR, and I really do care about learning more about things that I do not know. So whatever way we spend those funds would be to promote that we want these people to come in and to understand that it is okay. It is free and that they are doing something that will be recognized in the community. So if that takes us to take a picture of all the officers that came and pay for it to go in some newspaper and say, hey, look what these outstanding officers at UCR is doing, then we could be able to use the funds for that. These funds, it's $2,500. And the thing is, I want to get this out the way and then go there because what it's doing is killing the momentum of this resolution. So if we can proceed with this resolution and then any more questions, we can address it then. But this resolution simply is a strong recommendation.
I think that the reason why there's there's an issue is because of the fact that we will be held accountable for the word free. So I think I'm completely, supportive of this resolution. I just think that like when you have that word there, people kind of, the way that I read it as was, oh, are we gonna pay the officers for the day? Or are we going to, I understand that way that for them coming in on their own voluntary time, are we gonna pay them their day of work? Or are we gonna just give them, you explained that, but I mean, it's not stated the amount of funds that we would need or that we would need or what the funds would be used for.
Mr. Chairman, can I respond?
Yes.
Free means free. If it costs us $100 to print some flyers or make some advertisement, then that would come out of the fund. This has no bearing on what the officers be paid that day. Free of charge to those who enroll, meaning we're not charging them to enroll and take the course. Period.
We'll continue with the speakers list as a part of the Plaza National. And Vice President Finance Action.
Do you have a structure or like an idea of how the class will run? Like, I know it says ASUCR will make necessary arrangements with ethnic studies chairs. So are we teaching the class? Are we participating in the class as well? Like, do you have an outline of what senators will be committing themselves to by passing this?
Yeah, so my idea is to have work with the ethnic studies chairs to develop some type of curriculum that can be taught as something like in our course, where senators, we would teach the course with the assistance and oversight of these chairs who have provided the curriculum, so that the curriculum that is given out is not from our hearts and our own personal feelings, that there is some professional aspect to it, and that hopefully that these courses would be recognized because the chairs help them put together. So if they go back into their community and say, hey, I was certified, I took 16 hours. It's all a voluntary gesture, a symbolic gesture. And when we're asking somebody to commit their time, we say it's free. That's just another way for them to come in and do it. But we can, I mean, honestly, with the substance of what we're trying to do, we don't have to spend $1 and people would still come. It would still be free. We can honestly organize these classes tomorrow and offer it for free without spending $1. But we want these to have a big impact. So I'm saying if we needed to spend a certain amount, let's allocate some funds so that we wouldn't have to go through it in the future. Let's say maybe a year from now, the class may expand. We may have to buy more t-shirts or more supplies or more materials. I just want to make sure that this can happen with ease. Provide every possible necessity that may be required with no objection. It's free, so if they come. It's voluntary. If they don't come, that's fine. But it has a certain element there. Hey, it's free.
So you won't be, do you plan on hiring, so we will be teaching, you're not planning on hiring someone to come in and who's a professional in this field to teach it, or?
Again, if after talking and really ironing out everything with the chairs, if the chair recommends that we have some outside facilitator, maybe the funds can be applied in that way. First of all, I don't want these funds to be misconstrued as discretionary. If we can proceed to the next resolution, it does identify some main things that the funds would be used towards, and I don't want those to be misinterpreted outside of what is stated. If we can go ahead, we might as well just go ahead to it if everybody is okay with that, because it seems like this resolution is the most contention. I hash it out, but this one it requires the next one, but there's no dollar amount here, and free could mean I can organize people tomorrow to come and take the class.
I can continue with the speakers list. We had Ashley here up next, and then Iris.
Was that
Yeah, you can re-add yourself. Senator Reed Blake, I'm sorry, Senator Glenn King, then Senator Reed Blake, Senator Summer Schaefer, Jessica. You've been re-added.
Well, is this the second time?
It's the second. Yeah, you're after our elections director sent. Okay. You're after. Okay. Yes. Personnel director.
So I guess my main concern for you, Nikki, is have the ethical studies chairs approved this?
Well, there is no solid yes. There is like they want to do it.
My issue is just if there's no solid yes, how can you expect Senate to vote on it and approve it? Especially because it's saying that ASUCR will take responsibility of it and will take responsibility of it being free. And if the ethnic studies chairs aren't willing to do it, what are we supposed to do after that, after we vote on it? And the other thing is, I don't think the issue on free is about the sandwiches or shirts. I think the issue is the cost of labor. And if you're bringing people in on a Saturday, how are you going to reimburse those chairs who are coming in on a Saturday? Is it just voluntary? Is it just they're doing it out of the kindness of their heart? And how do you make volunteer work credible for it? If it's a 16-hour course, but you're not paying the fee of labor, then how is that counted as credible?
Right.
Sorry, that was a lot.
Yeah, no.
We do have there's an extensive speakers list, so you can respond, and we'll just try to.
Or yeah, can we just?
Would you like to hear from the rest of the speakers?
Yeah, I would like to.
Okay. Next we have our Vice President of Finance, Ashley.
Yeah, my question kind of goes off of what Ashley just asked. My issue is that even if we don't pass the next bill, which is allocating you $2,500, we're still, and we pass this resolution, we're still being held accountable for making this course free. So that means we have to make any other adjustments or we have to do something else to make these courses free, so we still have to, I just need like, it's just really arbitrary, you know what I'm saying?
I would like to get this if they're connected. I respond to that. But my thing is, orgs come and ask for funding to hold free events all the time. So that's sort of the idea of free. You're not charged to come in. The whole idea is voluntary. If the chair is very interested, but I told him to hold off. Like, just wait, I will come back to you. But he said, when you come back to me, I will be interested in doing so. But I'm not gonna say he said yes, because he didn't say yes. I told him to wait. And I will let him know if that was something I was actually interested in continuing to pursue. And it just happened to heat back up, and here we are at this particular position. And to answer you said that there was, still would obligate us to do something. Yeah, it would, and it would obligate us to do something. And our duty is to make sure that we are representative to the needs of our campus and the students that elected us. So if we need to provide a space that is free to make that happen, then I don't see what the big issue with doing that would be. The point is, everything is, I'm hoping, in the spirit of voluntary, in the wake of what's been going on. There were protesters that protested the regents. I mean, they didn't get paid. They took off school to go do it. That's a labor. If you know, it's a voluntary thing, right? If there's an issue that makes you feel passionate, I'm hoping to invoke passion. And so, with the authorities that we have, we can do so. And if we say free and it cost us $100, we can do that. And so that's why the subsequent bill, it follows as such. It clearly outlines that it's for the design, development, promotion, and implementation of law enforcement education courses. I was very clear. And we're not even on that bill yet, so the details are not even being seen. And this resolution is being the momentum and the symbolic nature. I'm a little disappointed that the symbolic nature is not even there anymore.
Yeah, okay, so I commend you on your passion, however, I just want to make a comment, I don't think you can compare this to an organizational budget request, because they go through finance, they submit a budget with clear line item detailing of like what their allocations would be used for. Yours is kind of like a general 2,500.
But this is
So
not the
how
bill.
much is it can be used for teachers? How much of it is
This is not the bill.
Senator came out of an half, please.
That's not comparable to.
What is it that they? My last.
Actually, if you allow, before we continue with the speakers list, yes, you are next. I would actually have a question for our financial operations manager. Can you explain a little bit about ASUCR, our revenue and our allocations, how they interact with the departments on UCR?
We don't really give funds to other departments. The only thing that we do so far is that we reimburse, like for instance, like if child student programs or one of the ethnic and gender programs happen to spend things, then a club comes and asks, can you reimburse for this travel, for this automobile, stuff like that. But we don't necessarily use the student fees to pay another department.
So it originates from an organization to get the reimbursement.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then also too, Iris is correct, like whenever, any kind of allocations, and it also is in the bylaws, which I think Momo stated too, that there's supposed to be a specific line item for everything that we're allocating. And that, doesn't normally go through the finance department. I don't think, I think she's right, you have a great idea and things like that, but I think the problem is that maybe there's just not enough information at this point in time as to what the exact costs are.
Mr. Chairman,
There is a speaker's list. If you'd like to respond, I can with that. Since you agreed to allow the speaker to speak first, I'd like for us to be able to continue with that agreement. I'm going to continue with the speakers list. We have Vice President Abraham Calvan.
Okay, so I wanted to speak because I want us to move forward and keep the meeting going. So what I would suggest is that we simply just amend the language of the resolution.
That's what I was just going to do.
So if instead of let it be further resolved, the courses will be made available free of charge to those who enroll by February 2015. if we could just simply say like, let it be further resolved that ASUCR will make a good faith effort to have these courses be available free of charge, then it leaves us a little bit of wiggle room where we can try to set something up so they'll be free of charge, but it's not necessarily like mandated that we'll have to do so if it's not able to be done. I don't know, that just seems kind of simple.
I'd like to continue with the speakers list. So we have
Elections Director Stephanie Rose.
I'll yield, that's basically it.
I'm sure you're just good at this.
I just wanted to kind of piggyback off of the comment that Akeem was mentioning about the passion behind it and everything. I think that the language was specifically that word free, but I mean, I don't see anyone that's against anything else of this resolution. But now that if there's a motion after that statement that Abe made, I think that would completely disregard any other issues that we have. As for if you need volunteers, I'll be happy to get involved volunteering if you need me to, have the actual training. I am very close with Dylan Rodriguez. I know for a fact that he's credible. If we want to talk about I understand the issue of, if there's volunteers, how can they be credible? I think that's a great thing to bring up, but I know for a fact that he's credible, and I know for a fact that there's a lot of students on campus that would be willing to volunteer that are also credible as well.
Thank you so much. Next we have Senator Clay.
I just wanted to clarify something on behalf of Akeem Brown. I know that there was a question about labor costs. If I'm correct, and you can interrupt me if I'm incorrect, there will be no labor costs if he goes through our courses, because it's something that would be a class that you would take in order to teach these police officers if he was to go through the process. So, yeah. I don't think the labor cost should be a question.
So if it's an art course, can police officers in UCPD take the art course? Or is an art course only open to students?
I don't see why not. There has not been
Okay.
I think the present board having classes actually, right? I think it's only open to students. Otherwise it'd be members of the public.
I'm sorry, I'm actually working on the project right now, and it hasn't been stated that only students need to take this course. However, a student can teach the course, and only students are allowed to teach it. So if Akeem wanted to teach it, he would just need a supervisor, but for who he teaches, there hasn't been anyone specified.
Next we have Senator Reed White.
So I had a suggestion. So I think that it's important that people are bringing up the monetary issues, right? Because this resolution leads to the next one. And since that, the term free was our point of contention. So in order to move forward, I think in order to make this project or this resolution as effective as possible, we do need to keep in mind the expense of this course and all of those things that come along with the promotion of this course. So is there any way that we can also amend this resolution to perhaps suggest some sort of way that we can confirm attendance, so we can know how many people will be attending, so that way when we order things we don't have to spend more than necessary because we are just strongly recommending. It's just something to take into consideration.
Yeah, so we sort of in the third to last resolve sort of says who sign up, or my copy says sign up, but it says enroll. So there will be a mechanism in place. So we use free Google Drive all the time to take forms. I don't see why we couldn't use Google Drive to have these sign-ups. I guess what I would really want to say, it's voluntary in nature. It's all about the spirit of community service. And if we can encourage people and spend a few dollars doing so to make it be that much more effective, yes. The whole thing is voluntary from the beginning. So that means anyone offering their assistance in developing the curriculum, anybody who wants to provide their time on the day of the courses when they're actually held. I'm looking for volunteer community servants, even the people participating in the development and facilitation of the course. But if there are costs incurred, we need to have a budget that says we can do it, or some type of financial allocation that says we can do it. And that's pretty much it. And so I'm just hoping that you all understand that this is a voluntary type thing. Labor wasn't my thought because volunteer, there is no labor laws for volunteer. Well, there is, but we don't have to pay. As long as they understand that they're voluntarily offering their services, and that's clear, I don't think we would have any issue with labor. But this project can grow. It can get very, very big. I also want to promote and encourage the other ASs to do something similar in tandem with my efforts that I'm going to take. And I'm not asking for any cost. I'm just saying if we need to spend a few dollars to promote what we're trying to do, we should be able to do it. So I do agree with Vice President of Internal Affairs' suggestion to amend the language and strike free and put make every good faith effort in order to get this resolution passed. So I would entertain a second.
Finish the speakers. We'll go up for motions. Next we have Senator Summershin.
My sentiments were along the same as Stephanie and Eve's.
Next we have Ashley.
So I think my issue before about the cost of labor is because the language in Let It Be Further Resolved that the courses will be made and then we that change. I think when you say courses and enroll, it makes it seem like the officers will be taking UCR classes. UCR
But it's specified. I understand.
What, can you show me which part, please? I think this is fine. I just think some of the language needs to be changed, just how Abe pointed out, where maybe make it more clear that these are volunteers teaching a seminar, but when you call it a course, when I read it, I assume that this is a UCR approved professor teaching an ethnic studies course, just like the ones that we are required to take. And that's where the labor cost would come from, having a professor teaching an additional class to non-UCR students. And so I think if that was made clear throughout the entire resolution, there wouldn't be any questions on labor cost. That's just my concern, is just making sure your language for when you say courses and enroll is clarified to the officers.
I have a question. So if the course were to be an art course, do you have to enroll in art courses through RAL?
Well, I don't want to. I use our course as an example of people coming up with subjects that they want, like teachings, want to educate people about, and taking the lead on doing so. I don't want to go too far into the R course thing because that causes for other inquiries and further inquiries. I mean, yeah, I moved to call the question.
No motions been stated as portion. I can open it up to close.
Close the speakers and call the question.
Well, there's no question.
Okay, can you close the speakers?
Yes, well, there has to be a second. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to close the speakers list. Is there a second? Second. All right, seconded by Senator Christian Arredondo. All those in favor? All those opposed? And abstained. All right, 1501, this passes. The speakers list is now closed. Before I open up the floor for motions, I do want to make the note to Senate that whenever we pass legislation, it is of utmost importance that it is very clear as to what we are being asked of or what we are supposed to provide. If there is confusion and clarification on what exactly it is that we are required to do, these things should be addressed. And I know that some of you have brought up motions for amendments. So that's simply all I want to do. So at this time, I will open the floor for motions. Irish Representative.
I move to to approve this resolution with the amendment of the language, suggested by our ED.
You have to move the amendment and then we can move to approve it. You just simply move to amend it right now.
Can I move to amend this?
Yeah. Okay, can you simply restate the motion just so I can understand?
I motion to amend the resolution. Is that what I'm supposed to
Yes, okay, can you clarify what exactly
You gotta state the amendment that you would like to change.
say? I don't have it down. It's after the strikeout. Oh, I have it over here. Are you checking it already? There's, okay, so,
I think it's,
so it would be, let it be further resolved, the amendment for the word, or the phrase, the course will be made available free of charge to those, would be striked into a change of, let it be further resolved, ASUCR will make a good faith and effort to ensure this course is free and to those who enroll by February 2015.
and your amendment is to include good faith effort.
Yes.
Okay. We have an amendment on the floor by Outreach Director Jessica Arquidez to amend that stipulation to include good faith effort. Do we have a second? Seconded by Senator Christian Arredondo. All those in favor of the proposed amendment?
I object to I object to consideration because there's an amendment that I would like to add there as well.
We have to pass this one and then you make another one.
Well, I withdraw my motion to amend.
All right. All those in favor? All those opposed? And abstain. Okay. By a vote of 15-0-1, this amendment passes. Okay. The floor is still open for motions. And I will actually keep the floor open until all amendments have been heard.
I mean, these amendments still, you don't have to vote for them. King's okay.
For the public offending amendment?
Yeah, King's okay with them, yes, we just have
Mr. Chair.
Yes,
So we can just state that.
Mr. Chairman, please no side chat.
I move to amend the entire document in place voluntary before every space that it says courses. So that it's clear that these courses are voluntary.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor by Senator Keene Brown to amend the resolution. We have a second.
So it goes along with this, there's another section that says, ASUCR strongly recommends that chief of police require this, so I think we need to change that language as well.
I second the motion.
So can you restate what your?
Yeah, it requires more than just adding voluntary in front of, course, because there are certain clauses that also, we have to change the language of this.
Mr. Chairman, did you, point of information, did you state that the floor was left open for?
The floor is left open for motions for all continuing
multiple
amendments.
subsequent amendments?
Yes, I mean, for the sake of efficiency, I would probably recommend that we consolidate these to ensure.
Let me come over there.
To be perfectly frank, I'd say at this time, if there is considerable confusion as to how much the amendment process is going through, Chair would smile upon a motion to perhaps table this if there needs to be consideration and clarification on what this would require. Simply for the sake that by the time it reaches Senate, there should be a discussion of content and substance, not necessarily rewriting the bill during the Senate meeting. So that Chair would smile upon a motion for that. You can motion.
But it's
I motion to table.
Okay. I move to table needs a second. Okay, this only requires a majority vote.
But it's
I will,
order requires.
I will, yes.
So are we tabling it till next week? Next week?
Quarter year.
Yeah, next week.
As of right now, okay, in terms of parliamentary procedure, the vote to table a bill does take precedence over amendments to said bill, so I will have to take these motions in order of precedence. So if the motion to table does not pass, we can't continue with the amendments. So I will leave that to Senate to decide if we should table this into a future Senate meeting. So at this time, I will take a vote. So,
By the point of to table, I believe it means to leave another meeting.
No.
Table.
To table the legislation until the next time that we meet.
Point of information.
Yes.
Tabling is reserved to another future time. It doesn't necessarily mean future meeting, is that correct? It could just be another time.
It can be another time.
As specified.
As our specifications, Robert's Rules of Order usually stipulates that the default is that it goes to the next time that an organization meets, which of course would be the next time that we have a planned Senate meeting.
Correct.
You can amend on exactly when it would be heard. However, considering that it's legislation that is approved by Senate, I'm thinking that the next Senate meeting is probably the most appropriate time to move that to. And so, yeah, the move to table is intended to temporarily suspend the consideration of an issue, and this falls within the purview of that. The motion was made by Vice President of Finance Iris Sheng, and was seconded by, Senator Fabian Escobedo, so I will take the vote on that now. All those in favor to table, to temporarily suspend considering this issue, to table this issue, all those in favor? All those opposed? And abstain. Okay, by a vote of 11-4-1, this motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, point of information. It was not specified by the individual who made the motion when the meeting, when this legislation would be tabled until, and I wish that we can do a revote and state specifically when the motion would be brought from the table, if it is going to be tabled.
Yeah, as I explained, Robert's Rules of Order have, the default procedure is that it will come up again the next time that we have our meeting. As I said, you can motion to amend exactly when, if you didn't want to hear it at the next available Senate meeting, because that is the default, the next time that we would meet. Fortunately, I can't, the only time that a reconsideration can come from is from the 11 that voted in favor of.
Again, Mr. Chairman, point of information, or point of clarification.
Yes.
That is what I expressed to you, is that's what I would like to do prior to the vote. That when I ask for point of parliamentary procedure, that although the default is to the next meeting, that I would like it not to be tabled. I would like it to be tabled to a later time in this meeting. I made it clear. So I strongly suggest you all to recount or consider an amendment to when the actual item will be brought from the table, because the point of contentions were the words free and whether there would be labor issues, and they're cleaned up. It's not free, it's voluntary, and we will make every good faith effort to provide these courses. So those are the amendments that have been made. Thank you.
I motion to bring back this legislation after public comment if the chair of LRC, Devin Public, says that it is ready to be voted upon.
Sweet, so you'd have to move to reconsider the previous motion and then move to take from the table for a later time. Those would be the two motions you'd have to make in that way. So you can start it on.
Okay, I move to reconsider the last motion.
Okay, this motion is debatable. But if there are.
Do you have a second?
Yeah, is there a second? Okay, seconded by Senator Summer Schaefer. So the vote is to reconsider the vote on tabling this motion and to, okay. I think there's a second motion that you had later on, so we'll vote those on, we'll vote those in each name. Alright, second by Senator Schaefer. All those in favor? All those opposed? And abstain. Okay, by a vote of 12-0-4, this passes. And we move to reconsider, and I believe Senator Hunsaker, that you had another motion on the floor that you'd like to.
I motion to reconsider this legislation after public comment at discretion of the.
Okay.
Move to take from the table.
Yeah, so that's, yeah. Move to take from the table. Seconded by President Bush and Court Plaza. So the motion on the floor, as I understand it correctly, is that these changes will be done through the meeting following public comment, and then the bill will be taken up once more for deliberation. All those in favor? All those opposed? And abstain. Okay, by a vote of 14-0-2, this motion passes. We will resume deliberation of this bill, and would it, for the sake of efficiency, just maybe not necessarily follow bill, can we also include the bill that is contingent upon this one as well?
Mr. Chairman, I move to table the subsequent bill until further review with the finance director and finance. And again, by no means was this, I just feel that these items are together, they're back to back, and so I wanted to make it happen all together. But part of our duty as senators is to protect the purse, and that's the term that they use in Congress. And so I do understand the contention, and I do understand the obligations that we may have obligated ourselves to. So the second bill I would like to table after consultation with the Vice President of Finance.
Okay. The motion to table, and as I understand correctly, Senator Keene Brown, this will be tabled until the next time of our regularly scheduled Senate meeting, which will be winter quarter week. Okay. So a motion by Senator Keene Brown, seconded by Senator Reed Blake. All those in favor? All those opposed? And abstain. Okay, by a vote of 15-0-1, this motion passes. The bill will be tabled until week 1 of winter quarter 2015. Only see you all. That's the regularly scheduled.
No, but I'm making sure we're clear on what was tabled and what was not.
Your motion was for the second bill, correct? Under consultation with Vice President. Okay. Yeah, as for Senator understood that. Yes. Okay. And okay. Sorry.
That is the end of my report. Thank you, everyone.
Enthusiasm and balance. Okay. We will hear from public comment. That's the next item on our agenda. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry, my mistake. We actually need to hear from our marketing director, Ravina Fry. Nearly past me, please. The floor is yours.
Just real quick, I have a couple updates on the Scotty's Late Night Lounge. So the information that we have as of now, in collaboration with Christian, is that all the games and the TVs and the music will be shut down in latitude 55 to promote a more study-like environment. We're going to have like study music, soft instrumentals playing. In addition, Christian has managed to get us like muffins and coffee and hot beverages in addition to the sodas and snacks. So, and also we'll be providing Scantrons and Blue Books to the first couple people that can come. The amount is contingent on finance, but we're shooting for 100 Blue Books and 100 Scantrons over the course of the 2 days. So yeah, I'll keep you all updated, and volunteer forms should go out this week for senators to sign up if they'd like to come. You don't really have to manage, just come study, relax, bring some friends, and it should be a good event.
That's great. Thank you again. Any points, questions, concerns? Okay. Moving on, we will proceed on section H of public comment. For any of those in the gallery that would like to reflect on, actually take a point of business on what matters are previously discussed, This can also be considered as a continuation of public forum for those that were unable to speak earlier. So yes, please come forward and state your name for our minutes purposes. Hello all.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Emma Hattie. I had a quick question for Abe regarding the vote of no confidence. So it's my understanding that this, like you said, this was authored by you and people at UCLA and UC Berkeley. I've been following with it. I'm hoping, as I'm sure you are, that it's going to continue to other UCs and that other people will pick up on this. Based on your knowledge of both the politics and the procedure that go with the Regents and UCOP, what would be the next point of action / the next consequence to these votes of no confidence passing?
Hopefully other campuses will be passing it as well. I know that I'm in talks, and other people are in talks with other people from other campuses so that they can get this passed on those campuses as well. There's other campuses that previously passed resolutions of no confidence in Napolitano. We had also passed one before last year, but it was in a standing order, and it was more so in relation to her duties as Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. So hopefully once we do that, and then as the bill specifies, we'll be introducing this resolution to the UC Student Association next at their January meeting. So hopefully the UCSA will also pass it as well. And once we do that, it'll really just be more so communicating it to the UC and the Regents. They've already been made aware of this resolution, but they haven't commented on it. As far as I know, they were waiting until UCLA and ourselves had our vote before commenting on it. So I'm expecting they'll come out with something saying that it's irrelevant to them, which is what they always do with anything that we do, which is the whole point of why we have this resolution. But we've already made a lot of ground in pressuring the state to hold the Regents and the president of the UC more accountable. Just today, Senator Ricardo Lara actually announced that he will be trying to get a constitutional amendment on the ballot to bring the University of California, bring the state a little bit more control of the UC. And I really think that I really believe that this is due in large part to our advocacy efforts, because in the work that we've done, we've made sure that we targeted the state, but we also haven't let the university off the hook. And so hopefully this resolution will only add to that. And I would love to see the university implement the asks that we made of them, so that we don't have to have this resolution be in effect anymore. But we'll see about that, of course.
Okay. Were there any other members of the gathering?
Sure. I just sorry for being a little bit late in this public forum. Sorry about that. Just wanted to extend my best wishes to each and every one of you. I know this is your last meeting for the quarter. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay. I know it's been one heck of a quarter real fast, a lot of unexpected twists and turns, but I just wanted to wish all of you the best as you move into finals week. I know we're still a couple of weeks away and have a safe and wonderful winter break, and we look forward to continuing our work together as we proceed with winter quarter. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice Chancellor. Any other members of the public that would like to come forward at this time? Okay. Seeing that, we will continue now. As we had voted on previously, before we continue to roundtable and announcements, we will be resuming discussion and deliberation of Senator Keene Brown's bill that he proposed. So if we could, you have changes that you've been working on, President Plaza?
Hi again. So if you could pull up the document, in the first, let it be resolved, it states, let it be resolved, ASUCR strongly recommends the University of California Chiefs of Police to strongly urge all University of California police officers, staff, and personnel to take 16 consecutive hours broken up into 2 consecutive weekends of voluntary continuing education courses when available in ethnic and gender studies commencing in the spring of 2015. Enrolling and completing such voluntary courses each year are those employed as an officer, staff, personnel, or any other agent in the University of California Police Department.
So the first edit is instead of saying strongly require, or to order and require all University of California police officers, it's strongly urge all University of California police officers in the second line. And then it adds voluntary before continuing education courses, as well as voluntary courses each year. And then for the sake of grammar, I changed, it said each year they are employed as an officer. Each year compelling such voluntary courses each year are those employed as an officer, staff, personnel, etc. And then in the third, are there any questions so far? Okay. In the third, let it be further resolved, ASUCR will make a good faith effort to ensure this voluntary course is free to those who enroll by February 2019. And these don't affect the meaning of the resolution, they're just changes to ensure that it is a voluntary course taken by those who agree to do so. Any questions?
If there are no questions, I can open up the floor for motions.
I move to approve this resolution.
Okay, motion by Senator Delaney Koenig and seconded by Senator Green Blake. All those in favor? All right, all those opposed? And abstain. Senator King, you abstain? Okay. By a vote of 15-01, this motion passes. Bill passes. Okay. Well, that was the discussion of legislation. We can continue on section I of roundtable and announcements. Change things up a bit. I'll begin on my right. And continue to my left. Senator Jason Chris.
So good luck everybody on finals. Everybody in the galley, I know you guys might be a little busy. Good luck with everything. Safe travels to the holidays, and I'll see y'all next year.
Senator Summer Schaefer.
Yeah, I would just like to stress the importance of everyone, even though the readings are sent down to us pretty late, and just stress the importance to read those thoroughly before the Senate meeting, and also to review the Constitution as well. And good luck on finals.
Senator Delaney.
No break.
Senator Carlson. Pass. Senator Richard Lee. Pass. Senator.
Just a comment for the late night at Scotty's thing. I'll be sending out like a doodle for those who are going to participate to go ahead and sign up. Also, Rabin is working on the image or the advertisement, I should say. So if you guys could like post in your guys' organization, like Facebook pages or whatnot, and also maybe as your profile picture, I appreciate it.
Senator King Brown.
Two things quickly. First, I just wanted to offer further explanation as to why I moved to suspend the rules, because I know that this is our last Senate meeting, but I know that I'm not going to stop my efforts to carry out what I'm saying I'm going to do, and I know I might incur cost. So I will still have to get reimbursed some kind of way. So my point was to have it all together so I wouldn't have to go spend my own money and then go and get a reimbursement. But if that's what I have to do, I'll still do it. I don't want to lose this time. Our next meeting is not until January. It still gives me about 20 plus days to get hard working on what I intend to do to make our campus more ethnically acceptable and make sure everybody is aware of all cultures. And then secondly, I want to thank you all for your patience tonight and understanding in regards to these bills and being aware of what's going on in our entire country, not just in our country, but around the world. There's a problem with class. If you're not a certain class, you're discriminated on. If you're not a certain color, you're discriminated on. And I'm just sick and tired of cultural unacceptance. I am seriously trying to promote an environment of cultural acceptance. And so that's all I have to say. Good luck on your finals. Study hard. Sky's the limit. I really mean that. It's a cliche, but it really is a limit. If you can dream it, you can achieve it. And this is what this bill was all about.
Thank you, sir. I'll restrict this.
Hi, I just wanted to talk on the demonstration that we had last week regarding the 43 students from Ayotzinapa. Our ex officio didn't get a chance to see it, but thank you all to everyone who came out. It was very touching to see everyone appreciate the fact that this is not just an issue that's going on in Guerrero. It's an issue going on around the world. We're all students, and these students were silenced when they chose to go against the system that was oppressing them. So I wanted to also extend the invitation for anyone that wanted to continue on with movements regarding the Ayotzinapa students and any other involvement all around. I don't want to call it it's the 43 students, so there's different campaigns that are going on that are housed under different names. But in Chicano student programs, there are students that are taking initiative of having projects, and if y'all wanted to get involved with that, I recommend you coming into Chicano student programs or asking me. And good luck on finals, everyone, and thank you for all the passionate students that have been attending all the events and hosting your own events.
How's that black?
Great, thank you, Jessica. Elections Director, President Person for Devon Plaza.
Good luck on finals and enjoy your break.
Vice President of Finance, Irish.
Pass.
A quick note, along with the required reading, all of you received a doodle poll on who could come in for Senator 101, so I encourage you to do that. Secretary, do we have? Parliamentary moments.
I just have two announcements. So firstly, I got my butt kicked in LRC yesterday because I didn't come prepared with my legislation. So I should have talked to a couple senators about it beforehand. But so this is me inviting you all, and I will be hitting a few of you up to talk to you about this legislation. I feel like since you guys are going to be the ones, or since you all are going to be the ones voting on it, that you all should help me author the legislation or pitch in or see what you think is fit, so that once we do get to the Senate, that all it takes is like everybody's in unanimous agreement and decision, because you guys are going to be the ones voting on it, or because you all are going to be the ones voting on it. And then another thing is the quarter is about to end, everybody, so it's like, you know, you're a third of the way through your term, so everybody ask yourselves what you've done for your students and your constituents and the people that put you in these positions, and ask yourself in these last 10 weeks, like, if I had to make a list of things that I've done, what have I done, and what am I going to do next quarter? Because that's what I'm going to be doing at the end of this meeting. And then lastly, don't forget that the open forum is still going on until 9 o'clock at INTS 1020 regarding recent injustices and travesties. That's all. Have a nice Christmas and holidays.
Great, thank you. Vice President of External Affairs, Abraham.
Yeah, just one announcement. So my office will be having a teach-in tomorrow from 12 to 1 p.m. in Hub. Sorry? Yeah, it's a free teach-in in Hub 260 from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. It's on the State of Emergency campaign by the United States Student Association, and it's basically kind of, if you've heard of Ignite, it's kind of similar to Ignite, which focuses on the recruitment and retention of students of color in higher education. So come out to it if you're free. We're probably gonna have some pizza there, so come by.
Great, thank you. Marketing Director, Rita Fowler.
Yeah, a couple of things I forgot to mention. About our physical media and digital media for the Scotties events, there's going to be cover pitch, and all of this is going to be released tomorrow. We're just resizing everything. There's going to be profile pictures, cover pictures, hub display cases, library A-frames, a Highlander half-page ad, and normal flyers. So please let me know. I'll put some in everyone's mailboxes when we get the flyers printed. But as far as digital, please like, share, and all that stuff. You have all been great on that already, so that's not really a concern. Also, if you have projects for next quarter, please email me to meet with me in the next coming weeks so we can get started over winter break and kind of do some really good planning so your events can be successful. And good luck on finals.
Great, thank you. Senator Hermanson.
Pass.
Senator Ringley.
Good evening, everyone. I also wanted to clarify, like Jessica did earlier, about my absence. I was also at the Regents meeting in UCSF 2 weeks ago. So just wanted to make that known. A few announcements that I had were that Summer Shaker and Devin Plazo and a couple members from, a couple other students from UCR are still collaborating with other students from the UC system to continue working towards our Feminism Awareness Month. Ms. Susan, I did contact you twice. I know it might be a busy time, but maybe we can talk after Senate because we would like to move forward with your collaboration. The other thing that I wanted to mention was that Senator Delaney and I are still working on the leadership conference, and we are still looking for speakers to lead our workshop. So if y'all have any people in mind, or if you want to chat so I can give you more information, I made an announcement earlier this quarter about that conference, but we can both let you know some information about that if you would like to participate. Another announcement is that the Lebanese Social Club is hosting a study session next week on Wednesday from 5 to 7 p.m. in the Bears Den. We'll be providing light refreshments, so you're all welcome to come. And then the more thorough announcement is one that I'd like to make regarding a project that I introduced by the name of Our Timer, Our Hour. So if you all are not already aware of that, it's a project that I wanted to initiate here at UCR because it's something that our student body really needs. I know as a commuter student, a lot of other commuters and students just from the general population have had a hard time getting involved on campus because our schedules don't really have like an integrated time where students can get involved with organizations and ethnic and gender programs and just their departments in general. So that was a program that I did want to initiate because a lot of students expressed interest, and I know that it would be something that would benefit the student body. So with the help of our Vice Chancellor of Student Affairs, Jim Sandoval, his executive assistant, Bree, and Fernando, we coordinated and we've been talking a lot about this project. We're going to have a meeting on December 16th to meet with more stakeholders from around campus so that we can finalize like a launch time and just like the logistics of that program, because it will be something that will launch by the end of this year. So that's something I'm very excited about. If y'all have any suggestions, contact me. You can talk to me or email me. We are still trying to decide a time on just like basic details. So yeah, your collaboration would be appreciated. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Good luck on finals.
Okay, Senator Fedias, good.
Good luck with finals and happy holidays.
Senator Priscilla Perret.
Pass.
Senator Samuel. Senator Jackie Jacoby.
Hi. Okay,
Hello.
so tomorrow night, Calendars for Israel is hosting an event called Israel 101. It's in Physics 2104 at 7 o'clock. It's to discuss just the conflict in the Middle East and occupation as well, things like that. So if you want to go out there and kind of learn about it, you're more than welcome to. We're going to have a Hillel retreat winter quarter in Baker at the UCR cabin, either weekend 2 or 3 for the public who want to get involved in Hillel to do that. You can. Also, we're going to have numerous more Shabbats next quarter as well. Please come to our Shabbats. They're really great. Thanks to Jason and Colette for going to our Shabbat earlier in the year. It's free, awesome food. So yeah, happy holidays, happy Hanukkah. To nobody else who remembers it, but other than me. Yes, finals, luck, everyone. Take a look. Have a great holiday season, safe travels, and whatnot.
That was a Hallmark card. Senator Colette.
Pass.
Senator Allianz.
Pass.
Okay. Before we move on to adjournment, I just want to make a quick note. If you all could take your trash with you when we leave the Senate Chambers, this will be the last time of the quarter. Let's not have any extra work for our custodial staff. They do such an amazing job of trying to keep our chamber and as well as our office clean. So we're trying to do our part as well. Okay. Moving on to our final item on the agenda for adjournment. I would now open the floor.
I motion to adjourn.
Senator Jason Reyes motion to adjourn. Is there a second? President Pro Tempore Devin Plazo. All those in favor? Okay. All those opposed? And abstain?
Yay.
Okay. I vote 16-0-0. We adjourn at 8:17. See you all.
How are you?
Final interviews.
tonight because they're wondering if you would like to.
Was everybody
Yes.